Hello and welcome once again to the World's Strongest Man 2011. Today, it's Heat 3. 6 more giant men battling for their place in the final here in the picturesque state of North Carolina, where they may not have too much hustle and bustle, but they sure got plenty of muscle. And first among equals here is England's Terry Hollands, a 5-time finalist and the former Britain's strongest man. He may already have his eyes on the final, but he has some serious competition, not least from the Lithuanian Vytautas Lalas, appearing for the second time and looking stronger than ever. Austria's Martin Wildauer could also rock the boat, but Hollands will know that in this group, the challenge could come from anywhere. Wingate University is once again the venue for our opening 2 events. And we start proceedings with the energy-sapping loading race.
So here we go with the first event, the loading race. Time limit 75 seconds. Each of those sacks weighs nearly 20 stone, 125 kilos. And the athletes have got to load all 4 sacks onto the platform as fast as they can.
From Finland, Juha-Matti Järvi.
Juha-Matti Järvi, the sole Finnish representative here in America.
Mateusz Baron.
Mateusz Baron, a new name from Poland.
In lane 3, from the USA, Jason Bergman.
A very exciting competitor, Jason Bergman, one of the smallest men in the contest, but so competitive. So here we go, Colin. And once again, we've got to say, this sand makes life difficult for all of these guys. So hard to get across it quickly.
Well, Jason Bergman was very quick there. Wastes no time picking these sacks up. And that's half the battle. They're so awkward. Second one again. He's got to place it well. He is the shortest in the heat, and that might be a factor as he gets tired.
He's already looking a little bit tired, but this exciting new contestant, Mateusz Baron of Poland. He's ahead of everybody. Bergman in second place.
There is a touch of the Pudzianowski about Baron. He's very jet-propelled. Why is he wasting time, though, on that third?
I think, Colin, it could have something to do with his inexperience at this level of competition. He was nervous before the event started, and he just wants to make sure he's doing everything right. There we go. Oh, the third one has come off. Surely he's got to get that back on again. We're well over a minute now, but he's still within the time limit. Nobody else in the picture. Baron wins it.
Hands off. Finally. Goodness me, he just made it, Paul.
1:13.17 for the young Pole. That shows his inexperience. Juha-Matti Järvi there, finishing in second place. Baron just won it by a whisker in the end. It was so close when he had it in the bag. And Jason Bergman, after a very promising start, finishes in third place.
Baron just didn't put those first couple of sacks on properly, and it caused him big problems there with the third one falling off. He's in the lead by 0.2 of a second, but he's lucky. It took a long time to get them all on.
Number 1, from Austria, Martin Wildauer.
Martin Wildauer certainly has improved over the last couple of years. Could be a contender here.
Number 2, from Lithuania, Vytautas Lalas.
Vytautas Lalas, very tough Lithuanian.
Lane number 3, from England, Terry Hollands.
And the giant Terry Hollands, one of the most experienced men here.
Let's look at Hollands' makeup. The grip, extremely good. The speed, tremendous for a 30-stone man. Take your position!
Well, if there's going to be a winner of this event, you'd think it would come from this heat. And it's Lalas of Lithuania who's getting away well, the smallest of the 3. But both Wildauer and Terry Hollands are great movers. Hollands, a former rugby player, but he's in last place at the moment.
He's carrying a lot of weight across the sand. He's digging in every single time he steps down 6-8 inches into the sand.
Well, Lalas absolutely flying. Terry Hollands almost nowhere to be seen at the moment, struggling with that third sack. And look at the Lithuanian go. Almost made the final last year. Tremendous performance. And that is certainly a winning performance by Vytautas Lalas, with Vildar in second place and Terry Hollands inside a minute, just 58.64. And there's our winner, an outstanding time, 44.08. Lalas of Lithuania. Vildar performed well too. And now comes the Tyrolean hat. And despite Terry Holland's disappointment, he still makes third place overall in this first event.
Well, it was Vytautas Lalas who was quicker than all others. He didn't slow down at all from first sack to last. Hollands was decent, but I think he's just a little too heavy for this event.
What an explosive start from Vytautas Lalas, completing all 4 sacks in under 45 seconds. That's almost 15 seconds faster than Terry Hollands. Looks a real statement of intent from the Lithuanian. Can he back that up as the heat progresses? Well, you can find out after the break as we return with the keg toss. Welcome back to World's Strongest Man, where Lithuania's Vytautas Lalas has blown the competition away in our opening event, the loading race. Austria's Martin Vildar is currently in second place, but it's bad news so far for England's Terry Hollands. The man from Kent could only manage third place. Things will need to improve for Big Tel, but the good news is that he's usually a big fan of our next event. Colin Bryce and Paul Dickinson are at the keg toss.
So all the apparatus is ready for this keg toss. The wall is 4 meters high, and in the fastest possible time, all of those 8 kegs weighing between 18 and 25 kilos, that's around 60 pounds, have got to be thrown as high as possible and over the bar. 75 seconds, the time limit.
Please welcome from Austria, Martin Vildauer.
Well, Martin Vildar certainly has made big improvements in strongman over the last 12 months. We've already had Mateusz Baron of Poland. He threw 4 kegs in the maximum time allowable, and Järvi of Finland only got 2. So the target has been set for Vildar. They're absolutely flying over, Colin.
He's launching these, an explosive man, Vildauer. And look at his heart rate. It started up at nearly 180. That's very high. He must be nervous.
Well, that's keg number 6. Now the 2 heavy ones. Oh, he didn't really get full extension there. You've got to use the legs as well as swinging the arms. He's certainly in the lead and has set a tough target for the likes of Terry Hollands and the rest to follow. But he could do with getting this one and possibly the next one over. Yes, it claws its way over there.
That was a much better effort. As you said, Paul, you've got to drive with the legs. Let's see if he can extend all the way up. No, I think he's fatigued now. Look at his heart rate, 190. That's got to be close to his maximal heart rate. You can't perform very well at all when you're this fatigued.
This surely is his last effort. He's absolutely exhausted now. Heart rate up to 191. But he got 7, and it's first place at the moment for Vildar of Austria.
Well, it took him 2 attempts to get that 7th one over. His heart rate screaming at the end there, his body crying out for oxygen, and the heart rate went sky high.
Vytautas Lalas.
Lalas of Lithuania to go next. He's one of the shortest men in the field. I wonder what his stats are like.
Well, he may make up for that, Paul, with very good flexibility. Good everywhere, actually, and look at that force. Extremely explosive man.
Well, just a reminder, Martin Vildar in the lead. Oh, my goodness. He was standing far too far away on that occasion. It went high enough, but didn't have the depth to the throw, and in danger of doing it again, Colin.
Again, he did it. Yes, Paul, he's going up and down. He's just a little too tight. He's got to finish the movement off, hands right up in the air. Now he's getting into his groove. It's a bit of a relaxed explosion. It's one of those strange oxymorons. You've got to give it your all, but stay loose.
Oh, that's good. On to number 7. No doubt about the power that he had there. 35.48 seconds. Lalas is in the box seat once more. That was brilliant in the end.
It was, Paul, but he sets very high standards. Look, he's shaking his head. He's not happy. Let's look at it again. That first one, goodness me, it must have been 10 foot over, but wasted energy. Finally, the last one, pretty easy, really.
Please welcome from the USA, Jason Bergman.
Well, here's another man who lacks the vertical stature, if you like, of Martin Wildauer and Terry Hollands, who, of course, is yet to go. So how much explosion has he got?
Yeah, I mean, he's hardly vertically challenged. He's almost 6 foot tall, but for strongman, that's not that tall. First view, pretty easy.
Good throwing power by the American. Just gets into place quite quickly. Didn't really extend there. You were talking about flexibility before. That has a lot to do with it.
Hey, I like the boots, Paul. Check them out. They've got to be 2 inches high at the back. He's used his brain there.
Well, he's struggling on this one. And if he doesn't get this one, he's going to be way down the standings. A little bit of an endurance factor coming in here, too. Now reach for it. Reach up. Not quite getting on his toes either. I just wonder if those boots, despite giving him a little bit of a height advantage, not creating enough flexibility in his ankle to get right up onto his toes.
Yeah, you may well be right, Paul. He's only got 10 seconds now. One last attempt is all he's got. Come on, Jason.
Now, his technique is quite poor here. And Jason Bergman almost resigned to a poor result. Indeed it is. Just gets 4 kegs in the end as he ran out of time. That is disappointing for the United States.
Well, let's have a look at that 5th keg again. It was a real sticking point for him. I don't think it was the weight, Paul. He was just getting the technique wrong.
Please welcome from England, Terry Hollands.
Well, if anybody is physically equipped to do this event well, it's this man. Terry Hollands of England. He's been in World's Strongest Man final before. He's got the experience. Has he got the technique? Number 1 flies over. As does number 2. This is looking good.
Well, he's fairly cool and relaxed at the moment. His heartbeat much, much lower than some of the others. Relax, Terry. That's it. Good. It's over. Little bit of a mistake there. He's got to get the high point right.
Well, he's on to the last 2 now. And remember, the time that was set by Lalas was utterly outstanding. Oh, my goodness. If that had gone over, he'd have won it. As it is, he could finish in 2nd place, but his heart rate is maxing out at around 190-odd beats a minute. And surely he hasn't got the physical capability now of getting it over. And that's because the fatigue has set in. Just asking the timekeeper there how much he's got left. It's just under 20 seconds now. Now just take a rest, Terry. Just cool, calm, and go for it. And like Jason Bergman before him, he hasn't got the endurance to get full extension. But nevertheless, a good performance. 2nd place for the Englishman.
Well, that was interesting at the end there, looking at that heart rate. He tried to rest for 15 seconds at the end, and his heart rate kept going up. It didn't actually get any lower. Goes to show you, you've only got so long in which to do this, and then you're fatigued.
Terry, 2nd place, just struggling with that last keg. Explain what happened there.
Just my legs went to jelly. Just lost all my power, and it didn't go over. When I got the 7th over, I thought, I've definitely got this, but it just wasn't to be today.
We've got some strong events to come. What are you most looking forward to?
Probably the deadlift would be my personal favourite out of all of them. I know that's an event I can do really well on. Probably about the strongest deadlifter in my group, but this is for repetition, so maybe I'll have a bit of a battle, but it should be good, and I'm looking forward to it.
Well, another victory for Vytautas Lalas, the only man to fly all 8 kegs over the 4-metre wall. Terry Hollands improves on his performance in the opening event and takes a valuable joint 2nd. He's still outside the automatic qualifying berths. Lalas and Wildauer are best placed for those at present, but there are some good events to come for the Englishman. And here's Caroline at the first of them.
Thanks, James.
Next up for Terry Hollands is an event which holds some particularly happy memories. 4 years ago in Anaheim, California, Terry stood inside this very car knowing that a good finish would guarantee him a podium position. What happened next will stick in the minds of British World's Strongest Man fans for many years to come, as the naturally mild-mannered Mr. Hollands finally showed some emotion.
I needed to make an improvement on the car walk to stand a chance of getting in there with the top guys. When I went out and did it, I thought, right, I've just got to go for this, thought about what I was doing and basically just picked it up and run with it. And at that point, I knew that my time was fast enough to guarantee me a podium spot. I personally don't feel it's beneficial for me to be really psyched up for events. I like to stay calm. That way I don't make any mistakes when I go out. I don't feel like I need that extra bit of aggression to lift more weight. I got into lifting weights to constantly keep beating myself and improving. I just see strongman as like an extension of that. It's not because I'm on some sort of ego trip, it's just I enjoy the sport and I enjoy lifting weights and improving all the time. But I do find being in the limelight quite hard to deal with. I'm quite a shy person. It is quite difficult sometimes for me that people coming up and talking to me. It's nice, I mean, it's nice to know that I've got some support, but it is quite difficult for me to deal with sometimes being as shy as I am. Strongman's always something I've loved watching on TV and always been quite interested in. I entered a local competition down in Kent, went down there and won the competition. 2 weeks later I did South East England's Strongest Man and it all went from there. I went from doing local competitions in Kent to competing at World's Strongest Man within a year, so it really did happen quite quickly for me. My goal was always to win. I honestly feel that if I don't achieve that within my career, then I've failed to a certain extent. I have no interest in keep going to the final and coming 6th or 8th place. That's not what interests me. What my goal is to win World's Strongest Man.
Well, there's no doubting the ambition of the Englishman, but can Terry Hollands fulfill his dream in North Carolina? It's been a rocky road so far for him in the evocatively named Tar Heel State, but he'll be hoping to move up a gear or two again now in the car walk.
The apparatus is ready. The crowd is certainly ready. Many won't have seen this before. 75 seconds, the time limit to carry this car, which weighs at 450 kilos over the course of 25 meters.
Welcome from Austria, Martin Wildauer.
Martin Wildauer of Austria really fills that car up. He's a massive man. Well, here's what's happened so far. Jason Bergman completed the course in 28.25. Järvi of Finland in second place. Baron of Poland in third.
Martin, you ready? Are you ready? Yeah.
Well, Wildauer, he's so big. But balance, Colin, is all part of this game, isn't it?
Yeah, I think his steps are just a little too big. He's got to slow them down and slowly accelerate away from the line. Now he's getting into his groove a little bit. It's not good, you see, is the back tyres are bumping off the ground, and that's slowing him down.
Well, they've had plenty of time to test this equipment and to balance themselves out. Just over the line there, staggered over. The 28.22. He is the current leader, moves just ahead of Jason Bergman.
I think he's just happy to have that over. It's very heavy, 450 kilos crushing down through your legs, and you know what? His leg strength isn't brilliant. I think he's happy just to finish.
Lithuania, Vytautas Lalas.
Lalas being watched closely by Terry Hollands. Remember, Lalas has already won an event. Terry Hollands, of course, second in the last event, the weight over the bar. And this event should suit Lalas. He's shorter in stature. He won't be able to lift it off the ground as high as some of the others, but it's looking solid at the moment. And look at his heart rate rising.
Small steps, and he's going fast. This is good from Lalas. He's picked the car up very high as well, so hopefully it won't touch the ground.
Watch the clock. Oh, 22.13. Absolutely outstanding. He goes into the lead ahead of Martin Wildauer. Now Bergman is pushed down to third.
Lalas just went through the gears there, started slowly and just built the speed up. Very good time. That'll be hard to beat.
From England, Terry Hollands.
Well, Lalas that we just saw produced the fastest time. But Terry Hollands is the master of this event, if he can get it right. Away we go, big long strides already, but his heart rate already is beyond that of what Lalas has finished at when he crossed the finishing line. My goodness, approaching maximum already.
Goodness me, that's all adrenaline. He wants this. Wow, that was quick. 14 seconds, Paul.
That is 8 seconds faster than anybody else in the field. That was just outstanding. And that car, in the end, did not stand a chance.
Well, that was just stunning from Hollands. He's about as quick laden as unladen. And for a truly massive bloke, he is very fast.
Terry, 14.19 seconds. That is fast. Was it as easy as you made it look?
Yeah, I mean, it felt really comfortable. I got the balance point right straight away, which really helped. Didn't have to hang around too long before I got running, so no, I'm really pleased with the run.
And it's all about stabilising that weight, and is that something that you're particularly good at or you've worked on?
Yes, I mean, it's something you work really hard on as a strong man. Having a really strong core, being able to stop it moving around too much, but also just making sure you get the straps in the right place helps a lot. I noticed a couple of guys with the back end going down a little bit too much, so I just moved back slightly and it felt perfect.
Terry Hollands in his mini muscle car there, almost breaking the local speed limit. And that performance sees the Englishman finally asserting some authority over Group 3. Lalas, though, once again, impressive. And it is the Lithuanian who still controls top spot in North Carolina, because for all that win, Hollands has struggled up to now and is still looking anxiously over his shoulder. Things not going entirely according to plan then for Terry Hollands, but coming up next is an event in which the Englishman has been getting better and better. Now, many of you will have tried the deadlift at your local gym. Perhaps you even put an impressive number of steel plates on the bar before lifting. Have you ever, though, stuck a car on it? That's what's coming up next, the car deadlift.
That it's been a demanding year. You've worked hard and pushed yourself to your limits, so we thought it's only right that we should reward you with a little break. You could win a family trip to Florida with 7 nights in a 4-star hotel, access to a car to explore Florida's attractions, passes to Disney and SeaWorld, and £1,000 to splash. To win this fantastic holiday, just answer the following. Which famous character eats spinach for extra strength? Is it A, Homer Simpson, B, Popeye, C, Mickey Mouse? To enter, call 0904 1613 555, text Florida plus A, B or C to 80556, or post your answer, name and phone number to Florida, P.O. Box 7557, Derby, DE1 0NP. Calls cost $1.53 from a BT landline. Other networks vary. Mobiles cost considerably more. Text costs $1.50 plus standard network rate. Lines close midday 2nd of January 2012 and 3 days later for postal entries. Rules and winners, channel5.com/win.
Welcome back to World's Strongest Man 2011, where the competition has moved to Rockingham in North Carolina, a pretty little town 60 miles outside of Charlotte, which is famous for its NASCAR track, the Rockingham Speedway. It's been a nervous watch so far for English fans, as Terry Hollands' challenge has stuttered. He's had to sit back and watch as Vytautas Lalas dominated proceedings in our opening 2 events, the Lithuanian taking first place in the loading race, and again in the keg toss, where he was the only man to get all 8 kegs over the 4-metre wall. Lalas then took a valuable 2nd place in the car walk, before the man from Kent re-established his form in one of his favourite tests. So, is the Englishman as good at lifting cars as he is at carrying them? Colin Bryce and Paul Dickinson have all the answers.
So here we go with the deadlift test. 75 seconds to complete as many lifts as possible with that car that weighs almost 800 pounds. Well, there's the situation so far. Jason Bergman, the American, he's already completed 5 reps. Jarvi of Finland, unfortunately, 0. So Baron of Poland being introduced right next to this man, Lalas, who's got away to a cracking start to this heat so far. A very, very proud Lithuanian.
Strongman sport in Lithuania is very, very popular. It's on TV all the time, every weekend. That's why I think the level in Lithuania of strongman is very big, because even this year we have 3 Lithuanians competing in the World's Strongest Man. And Lithuania, as you know, probably is only 3 million population. And to have 3 guys competing in the World's Strongest Man, I think it's a big deal for us. Last year when I was here, I was very nervous. This year I'm a lot calmer, you know. I know what to expect, I know what the events will be and which way the competition will go. This year I competed in a lot more competition, so I have a bit more experience. I don't think that I'm one of the best in the world. I think to be that, you have to be in top 5 in the World's Strongest Man. This year, like last year, I just want to qualify for the finals. I want to be in top 10 this year, and I'll do my best to achieve that.
Okay, guys, into position. Ready, lift!
Well, as they say, this is eyeballs out for the next 75 seconds, and Baron has got away the quicker of the 2.
They've strapped themselves to the bar, so the grip won't be a problem. It's all about lower back and hamstrings.
Lalas still behind, but he really is a little tiger when he gets going. And Baron is slowing, Lalas catching him up. Again, another case of tortoise in the hare.
What's so impressive here, Paul, is that Baron is just 21 years old. It's amazing to have this kind of gym strength at such a young age.
Goes for number 8, does the pole. Lalas has already got it. And goes for 9. Brilliant performance once again by the Lithuanian. He's just 1 ahead. And that is the lead so far.
Well, I wonder whether he's waiting to see what Baron does here, if he needs another one. No, he's going for it. Good for Lalas, going for 10.
Double figures for Lalas. Absolutely brilliant.
10 seconds to go.
So just a bit of time left. I think both of them will call it quits now. Indeed, Baron walks away. Lalas has a little wry smile to himself, as if to say, yep, I've done enough. Thank you very much indeed. Good performance by both of them. Vytautas Lalas, the current leader. Can anybody beat that? Mateusz Baron, 8 reps. It's going to be tough as well, my goodness.
Let's have a look at that final rep again from Lalas. Almost as good as his first one, and it puts him on double figures. That'll be hard to beat.
Welcome from Austria, Martin Wildauer.
The big Austrian, Martin Wildauer, is up against one of the biggest men in World's Strongest Men this year, Terry Hollands from Dartford in England. He's in 2nd place. If this is a good performance, he's got every chance of going through to the final.
Paul, this is a fascinating duel here. Wildauer, one of the youngest men in history to deadlift 400 kilos, against Hollands, who has one of the biggest gym lifts in history. The question is, has Hollands got fitness?
Well, Wildauer's looking strong. Hollands equally as strong. They're both, of course, chasing Lalas, much smaller in stature than either of these 2 guys. And Terry Hollands has got the advantage at the moment. Is he going to be going cat and mouse now with the Austrian?
That look across from Hollands tells you everything you need to know. He wants to say 1 ahead of Wildauer.
Well, now it's not a question of strength. It's one of muscular endurance. And Terry Hollands just shaking a little bit, but gets it up. He's still ahead of Martin Wildauer. Everything the Austrian has done, Hollands has done and more. 9-8. He's not in the lead, but that would be a very solid 2nd place for Terry Hollands. But Martin Wildauer can get on equal terms, and he has done. Well, Terry Hollands looking a bit bemused. He's going to have to be happy with equal 2nd place to this man, Martin Wildauer of Austria.
I think he got his tactics all wrong there, Paul. He was trying to stay one ahead. He allowed Wildauer to go for that last one. He should have gone for it as well. He looked decent on the 9th one. He could have had a good crack at the 10th. Wildauer just squeezed up that 10th. He had to jack it up his thighs.
Terry looked bitterly disappointed. Talk us through that one.
Yeah, just felt really easy in the beginning, run out of steam towards the end. There's not really a lot more I could say. It was just not the best performance I've ever had, but I mean, I felt strong for the first few reps. I just totally run out of steam towards the end.
Were you surprised that Lalas got more than you in that? Because that normally is a good event for you, that one.
Maybe not. I mean, my max deadlift maximum weight is better than his, but for reps, I know he's always really strong. His conditioning's really good, so I'm not really surprised to lose to him on that. I just perhaps didn't expect Martin to equal me.
Yet another victory for Lalas in a high-class deadlift event. Hollands and Wildauer tie for the second time in the contest, but the result definitely favours the Englishman. Terry indeed retains that all-important second place, while the Austrian now looks to be struggling with an injured bicep. What strains will our next event place on him? Caroline Pearce has found someone with the answers.
Thanks, James. It's time to introduce an event that caused all sorts of problems last year for our athletes in South Africa. These metal blocks need to be hoisted off the ground and pressed overhead. And the complicating factor, if there need be one, is they get progressively heavier, larger and harder for our athletes to handle. Now, they're going to start over this end with 110 kilograms, that's 17.5 stones, and work their way all the way up to this beauty, 150 kilograms, that's a whopping 23.5 stones. Now, Bill, these weights wouldn't pose too much of a problem for athletes normally, so what's the challenge here?
Well, they're so difficult to maneuver. There are no handles. Just to put them onto the thighs and get them in a position to get them to the chest, the athletes will be in a position where they're leaned so far back, we may see a snapped spine. And then to get them to arm's length, that's really, really hard to balance and push at the same time.
That sounds awful. Now, the points are really tight in this group, you know, to make that final spot. Do you think our British fans could be celebrating by the end of it?
Gosh, I like the way Terry carries himself through this competition. He's got such attitude this year, and he came in great shape. He'll do good in everything he does.
Well, we hope so. Good luck to Terry and the rest of our athletes. Over to our commentators.
Well, it certainly does sound like a severe test indeed. 90 seconds, the time limit. The biggest of all the blocks, 150 kilos. That is a massive weight, 23.5 stone plus. And the first man that we're going to see, Jason Bergman, perhaps ideally suited for this event. He's not very tall, very broad in the shoulders and incredibly strong in the arms.
Jason Bergman.
In 5th place after the first 4 events. We can have a look at those who've gone at the moment. Baron of Poland in the lead, but the big surprise is that Martin Wildauer of Austria, he only got 2 blocks, and that could do Terry Hollands all sorts of favours. But let's concentrate on Jason Bergman. American, of course, competing in front of his home crowd, and a big cheer as that first block goes up.
Just flew up, 110 kilos, now 120 kilos. A little bit wider. Actually, it makes it easier in some ways, that width. But then this third one, 130 kilos, it's almost too wide to hold. Now, this is tricky.
Well, it weighs more than he does himself. That is over 20 stone in weight. I think I underestimated him when I said he had strong arms. He's got incredibly strong arms. But can he do the biggest weight of all?
Well, no one's done this in history, Paul, so it's a massive ask, especially after 3 such heavy weights. 150 kilos.
Well, this is a tremendous effort by Jason Bergman, and surely he's not going to be able to lift it up again. Tremendous performance, 3 blocks, and the all-important time, 36.07.
Well, let's just look at that last one again. It's so wide, he can barely get his arms into it, and he fails.
Welcome from England, Terry Hollands.
Terry Hollands, if he can compete well in this event, could secure his place in the final.
Ready, lift.
He's very, very experienced indeed, knows exactly what he's got to do, and will certainly be conscious of the fact that Martin Wildauer only achieved 2 lifts earlier on. That was a big surprise to everybody watching here. And I guess it would be a big surprise to some of the strongmen too. If he achieves this lift, he's going to move ahead of Wildauer. Wildauer got 2 lifts in 61 seconds, and Terry Hollands extends his lead over the Austrian.
He's such a broad man, Hollands. He should find this one fairly comfortable. Does he have the pressing power, though?
Oh, my goodness, that was close. Well, no repetition, the obvious response from the chief judge. And Terry Hollands, despite the fact that he's beaten Martin Wildauer and moved even further ahead of him in the points table, knows that Lalas is yet to go and wants to maintain pressure on the leader. But that is it for Terry Hollands. He looks a bit perplexed, doesn't he? Nevertheless, 2 blocks in 25.46. He's certainly in the hunt for points yet again.
Well, sometimes it's about the luck of when you pick it up, and he just didn't have the balance right. He tried anyway, you have to, and he just didn't get it. He had the power.
Welcome from Lithuania, Vytautas Lalas.
Vytautas Lalas leads after 4 events. He's never been in the final of World's Strongest Man, but boy, has he competed here well.
Ready, lift.
He's got to be sure that he beats Terry Hollands and the rest of them. Let's not forget that Baron, the young Polish athlete, still leads this event. 3 blocks he achieved in 40.57 seconds. And look at the arm strength with Lalas. 290 pounds, that's over 20 stone, 130 kilos plus.
And he's finding the balance point beautifully. Now he has to lean right back to get it. There you go. Very flexible lower back for such a muscled man. Very impressive.
Wow, that was so good. Well, he's already won this event, so he doesn't have to go for the big one, but it would be effectively a world record, wouldn't it, Colin?
100%, Paul. First man to do it if he can. He's got to get the balance point. Just under 20 seconds to do it. Now, he doesn't want to waste too much time getting it up or he'll fatigue.
Well, he's got his place in the final, that's for sure. Brilliant. Qualifies for the final. That's what he came here to do, and he's done it with 1 event to go.
Well, he got his place in the final, but he didn't get his place in history. He looked good at the first 3. It's a shame he wasn't fresh for that last one, because I think he has the power to do it.
Vytautas, that was incredible. You've clinched your spot in the final. What are your ambitions now for that final?
Well, I'm just happy to qualify for the finals. I don't really think at this point about the finals. I want to sink in everything into me, and I'll think about it probably tomorrow.
You got to that 3rd one in a pretty quick time, and it looked like you couldn't decide whether to do the 4th one, and in the end, it proved a little bit too much.
Well, actually, I was looking at Jadrunas and was like saying, should I or should I not? And he said, like, whatever you want. So I'll try it. I think if I needed to, I might have got it. Well, I think I should have trained. I lifted only once before the block press, and I'm pretty happy with my performance.
Well, indeed, it's turned into a procession for Vytautas Lalas, but the problems continue for Terry Hollands. He'll be bitterly disappointed not to take advantage of Martin Wildauer's poor performance. And the Englishman now faces a test of nerves if he's to join Lalas in the final. Only 1 event remaining and just 2 points separating Hollands from missing out. It was Mahatma Gandhi who said that strength doesn't come from physical capacity, but from an indomitable will. Don't know how many Atlas stones he ever lifted, though, because you certainly need both for this event. Picking up 5 round chunks of granite weighing up to 185 kilograms each and lifting them up to 6 foot in the air. Great balls of stone are coming up.
Don't forget our fantastic competition to win a family trip to Florida with £1,000 to splash. For your chance to win, just tell us which famous character eats spinach for extra strength. Is it A, Homer Simpson, B, Popeye, C, Mickey Mouse? To enter, call 0904 1613 Text Florida plus A, B or C to 80556 or post your answer, name and phone number to Florida, PO Box 7557, Derby, DE10NP. Full terms and conditions at channel5.com/win.
Welcome back to Wingate University, North Carolina, for the conclusion of Heat 3 of World's Strongest Man. After 5 grueling rounds, there are still just 2 points separating Terry Hollands from Martin Wildauer in the hunt for a place in the final. Now a potential winner-takes-all event will decide which of them makes it through. Colin Bryce and Paul Dickinson are at our signature task, the Atlas Stones.
Thanks very much indeed, James. Well, in case you're unfamiliar with the rules, once again, it's a 75-second time limit. 5 stones have got to be lifted onto the platforms, and they range between 120 and a massive 180 kilos. Well, some of the athletes have already taken their turn. Järvi of Finland, 33.29 for 3 stones. Then along came Jason Bergman. 4 stones he achieved, so went into a temporary lead just over 20 seconds. Then this youngster, Mateusz Baron of Poland. 5 stones, 53.79. Good performance. Then along came Lalas. He's already in the final. He secured it once again with a massive effort. 5 stones, 39.93.
From Austria, Martin Wildauer.
Well, both men here look very nervous. They're locked together. Got to beat Terry Hollands by 2 places to qualify for the final. Terry Hollands, well, his trip to this last event has been a little bit nervy so far. In the first event, the loading race, he only finished in 3rd place, not the start he would have wanted. Then came the deadlift. He could only tie with Martin Wildauer. Then he really blew his chance of qualifying automatically with a poor performance in the block press. So it's come down to this. Lalas is through. That's not a problem. Terry Hollands and Wildauer locked together, just 2 points separating them. So Terry has to beat the Austrian to ensure a place in the final. Away we go. Who's your money on, Colin?
Well, it's Hollands who's away first, so I guess Hollands now. He is a great stone lifter as well, Paul. I'm not entirely sure what Wildauer's doing. He's going so slowly. I just wonder whether his bicep's injured.
Well, we saw Terry Hollands practicing back in his hometown of Dartford. He was looking very good, and his technique was solid in practice, and so it's proving in competition. There's his wife. Lauren and the rest of them are cheering Terry Hollands on. He's done it. The Englishman is in the final. That is confirmed. Martin Wildauer in all sorts of problems in this final event. Martin Wildauer looking totally dejected. Terry Hollands, though, will be on top of the world, having ensured his place in the final. Well done, Terry. Well done, everybody.
That 5th stone popped up without a problem here. But in the final, Paul, it's going to be heavier. 20 kilos heavier.
Terry, just looked like huge relief when you put that final stone up and knew you had a place in the final. Yeah, it was. I mean, it was a bit of a nervy road through to that point, and I was getting a bit worried, but no, I'm happy to make the final. I think that's my 6th in a row now, so really pleased with that, and it all starts again, and hopefully I can perform a little bit better in the final than I did in the heats. What are the ambitions for that final now? Well, I said coming into it, the events in the final are the best ones for me, and yeah, the plan's still to be battling for the podium and hopefully have a shot at winning. I still believe I can do that, even though I've had a bit of a rough ride in the heats, and fingers crossed I can be there or thereabouts at the end.
Well, while Lalas was impressive once again, he hasn't been outside the top 2 at any point. No mistakes from Terry Hollands in the Atlas Stones. A controlled performance there sees him take his 2nd event win of the heat. The relief was clear, and that's why Terry Hollands now confirmed as the latest qualifier. He's now made the final for 6 consecutive years, but he'll be hoping for a vast improvement on his qualifying form. Well, that's all for today, but next time in Heat 4, we'll be catching up with England's Rob Frampton, who's got high hopes after his debut last year, and also getting our first look at Big Z, Zydrunas Savickas, a man that some people call one of the strongest humans ever. I hope so, because I've got a pickle jar here somewhere that I'm really struggling to open. Join us then next time for Heat 4. For now, from North Carolina, it's goodbye and God bless.
Channel 5's very own muscle Dom Littlewood's beating down some doors next week. He's hunting down some cowboy builders as the new series kicks off Tuesday at 8. Up next, the new season of The Mentalist continues.